Gonna build a mountain from a little hill.
Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is The Lady Designer, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make a good running breeding zoo and to give an idea of how to create a good layout for a breeding zoo. Like, some of you may wonder, like, why do you want to make a breeding zoo? Well, for example, when you just start playing the game and you don't have that many conservation credits, a breeding zoo could be a great and easy way of earning some more conservation credits. But it also can be very useful if you want to join, for example, the community challenges every other week. Like, via planetzoo.com/community, you can find the upcoming community challenge already, so you can prepare for the next community challenge in your breeding zoo, which is also a really nice way to earn some extra conservation credits and some free golden status animals, which sometimes also includes some albino animals, for example. But there are also players that just in general really like to breed like these special animals themselves instead of like buying them on the market. So for example, they just want to breed like the perfect albino animal or animals with leucism, melanism, or piebaldism, so they can send these animals to their other franchise zoos, or they just want to breed the perfect animals to sell via the trading center for other people to use in their zoos. But you can also, for example, use this breeding zoo to research all the building themes and unlock all research for your animals to make things easier in your other franchise zoos if you want to. But whatever you want to do, things are just a lot easier and faster when you simply have a breeding zoo next to your other normal franchise zoos. So without further talking, let's jump into my new breeding zoo and let me show you how I will set up this breeding zoo. But as always, this is just my personal way of how I create this zoo, and you maybe have a completely different way or idea about how to set this all up. So it would be really great if you could just share your ways and ideas in the comments down below so everyone else can read this as well. And obviously also do let me know in the comments down below what you all think of this video. Also, before we get started, this breeding zoo is set to medium mode, but obviously it is up to you if you like to put your zoo settings on easy or hard mode. But just so you know, everything I do in this zoo is set on medium mode. So since you only have $40,000 to start with, and this is only going to be a breeding zoo, we are not going to focus on any detailing or whatsoever. Clearly, as you are going to build your own breeding zoo, you are free to do whatever you want. So if you want to create a heavily detailed breeding zoo later on, feel free to do so, because I can assure you, when making a breeding zoo like this, you will soon be flooded with money. So you do have the complete financial freedom to decorate everything to your likings if you want to. But for me, in a breeding zoo like this, it really is my least priority to make everything look nice and pretty. So right now, all we are going to do is set up some path for our breeding zoo layout. So this is pretty much the first layout that we have. Obviously, you can change the size a bit. It's not like I really measured this out regarding the habitat size or anything like that. And obviously, you can make it a lot bigger or a lot smaller, whatever you prefer to do. I always try to just lay out a few of these blocks right over here, and then I can add like one or maybe separate it in two different habitats, something like that. But what I find important is that in the middle area, I leave some space to add some staff buildings. And the reason for that is because it makes things a lot easier for the staff to reach all the habitats in time. Basically, you would need less staff and it would cost you less to have some staff in your zoo. So yeah, to make it a lot easier also for research and stuff, for your vets to reach the habitats and do some research, it's a lot easier to have your staff buildings right here in the middle. So now let's go and add some staff buildings and some habitats, which we're going to build with probably the concrete fences, or does it matter with the cost? Yes, let's go for the red brick fences because they have a great resistance of a 5, and then we're going to add like the one-sided glass in there so we can make sure that our animals will not get stressed no matter what kind of animals we are going to add to these habitats. Okay, so now that we have some fences right over here, actually these two are not going to be used in the beginning because in the beginning you want to make sure that you are close to your electricity and your water pump so you don't have to build an extra one, especially in the beginning where you don't have too much money. So yeah, this radius right over here is going to be the radius that we're going to work with, because then you can add like your speakers and your educational signs and stuff right over here, and they will still work right over here. They would not work just yet as long as you don't have another transformer on that side. So yeah, we have some staff buildings here in the middle. If we do it well, then we would be able to squeeze in some smaller habitat around here as well. So yeah, if you do this right and you have enough space, you can definitely do that. So now we do need to make sure that we have a work roster. So we're going to the staff tab, and as always, what I do is just select everything and just call this the everything work roster, so we can make sure that our staff will be assigned to the right buildings and stuff. So we are going to hire one caretaker. We are going to hire one keeper. We are going to hire one mechanic, one security guard, no vendor because we don't have any shops yet. We're going to hire a vet, and we're not going to hire an educator. You can do that in a later stage when you have some more money. And then we go to the staff tab, and we're going to select everything, and we're going to put them in the everything work roster right now. So we still keep the game on pause, but now that we have all our staff assigned, it is time to add some animals. Now, as I think most people that are watching this video don't have much experience with a breeding zoo and are maybe just very new to the game in general, I'm going to assume that you don't have that many conservation credits as I have, and that your main goal with this breeding zoo is to earn more conservation credits. So for this tutorial, we pretend obviously that we are starting with 0 conservation credits, but just to show you how many conservation credits we will earn during this tutorial, we are going to write down 30,383 as a starting point to count from there at the end of this video. So when you don't want to spend so many conservation credits, or you are here because you want to earn conservation credits because you don't have them, you go to the Animal Trading Center and make sure to select the animals on cash listings only. In this way, you are sure that you only see the animals that you can buy with cash for your game. But before you select any of your favorite animals right over here, we are also going to select the appeal right over here. This is going to make sure that the highest appealing animals appear on the top of your list. Now, as you can tell, the California sea lion right over here is the most appealing animal. And the higher the appeal of your animals, the more guests will come into your zoo, the more they will spend in your zoo. But also, the higher appeal of your animals makes also sure that you can earn more conservation credits out of these animals in a later stage. And that is what we are here for. But before you go and just adopt these first highest appealing animals, it is important to check the Zoopedia. Because you obviously are doing this breeding zoo because you want to earn conservation credits the fastest way. If that is not what you're here for and you're doing this because you want to have some really beautiful colors of whatever animal or the California sea lion or something like that, obviously just go for that. But if you are here to earn conservation credits the fastest way with your breeding zoo, it is important to go to the species data first and check the age of sexual maturity. Because as you can tell, this animal takes 5 years to grow up. So if you want to speed things up to earn conservation credits the fastest, then you also need to make sure that this is pretty pretty much the lowest amount of years as possible. So we are going to try and find the best animals out there. And I honestly am a fan of pretty much all big cats because big cats take around 3 years, as you can see right over here. And this pretty much counts for every big cat in the game. If we check the hippo, for example, and go to species data, it takes around 6 years. So for me, a hippo would also not be the most interesting animal to get to work with in this breeding zoo. If we go to the second tab, we have the southern white rhino. So if we check the Zoopedia here, this is also 5 years. So right over here, you, for example, have a common wombat or a platypus. Now, I don't know for the common wombat how fast that goes. So that will be 2 years. But then you could still make up your mind being like, yeah, well, the number of offspring is only 1. Like comparing to, for example, the big cats, it's mostly like 3, maybe even 4 cubs. So that definitely could also help you to make a decision of what kind of animal you want to go for. The same goes for like a group size, for example. Like for a common wombat, you can only have 1 to 2 adults in one habitat, and obviously you will need 2 to make sure they are able to breed. But if we go, for example, to the West African lion, is one of the animals that pops up in my head. You can see you can have 2 up to 30 adults in one habitat. They also become mature at 3 years old and they have an offspring of 1 to 3. Now, the only downside with the West African lion is that if I'm correct, you cannot buy these with cash. So this could be a really perfect animal for a little bit later on if you have some conservation credits to speed things up, because then you can have like tons of adults in one habitat, make sure they get babies, and once they grow up, you can sell them all on the market or release them in the wild for some really nice conservation credits. So because I do like big cats to have because they're pretty easy to reproduce, I am going to start with these 2 jaguars. And as you can tell, my money is going down pretty rapidly. So this is going to be the first animal that we are going to add. So I'm going to put these 2. Don't mind these animals. These are from my other franchise series. But we're going to put these 2 in a habitat right over here. This habitat is obviously way too big for these guys, but better too big than too small, so don't worry too much about that. And as soon as these animals come into this habitat, we are going to make sure that we are going to fuel their welfare until it's in the green. So as you can tell, I am really not going to bother about how my habitats look. All I care about is that their welfare is 99 to 100%. Right over here, you can see the nutrition. So their last meal quality depends on if you have done the research or not. So you can put this up to 3. Now, obviously, we already have 99% welfare, so I couldn't care less about adding this to grade 3. But if you have not done your research yet, this is already the moment where you can go to your zoo tab, go to vet research, and if you need some research, then just make sure that your vet is going to do that research. And well, the same as I said in the beginning of this video, you can also make sure that your mechanic is doing the research of any of your building themes if you need to. But as you can tell, I already researched everything in my other franchise zoo, so I don't have to do that. Now, one thing that we do need to make sure of is that we are able to earn some money. So we are going to put down some educational signs and some donation boxes right over here. And we're also going to add some, well, maybe a few bins, but we don't have any shops just yet. But we can already put down some benches right over here to fulfill our guests' needs. So now that we have everything in place to earn some money out of these jaguars, we still need to check quickly how high the fencing needs to be. Yes, that is 3 meters. So make sure to do that before you start because, yeah, well, else you will have some escaping animals, which is also funny, but you really don't want that in the beginning of your franchise zoo. And also, pause real quick, make sure to add like ticket prices and see that the zoo ticket price is great. So I think we are just going to live with that for now. And we are just going to unpause the game. Now, what you can do, which is optional and will speed up things more, is to have, like, for example, this habitat or have another habitat somewhere nearby. Well, it doesn't actually matter where it is, but you can have a separate habitat where you will put all the babies in. Now, that sounds a little bit cruel, and I do not do that myself, but it will speed up the time that these adults are able to become pregnant again. So it will speed that up. But yeah, it is optional. Like, I don't really like to do that. I just keep everything in one habitat. But yeah, it is a way to make sure that your adults become pregnant faster. And in that way, you can earn conservation credits faster. So yeah, you can have a separate habitat to make sure that the babies will grow up in there. And from there, you can release them into the wild or put them up in the training center and then put them up for adoption. So now our guests are coming in. We obviously need to make sure that we are earning some money. So we are just going to see if we are able to earn some money already. Oh gosh, okay. So this is why you need to make sure that your animals are not able to escape, because, well, we can now call a vet here, which is already on its way, but our guests are already running away. But yeah, it's gonna cost you like $1,000 to emergency capture this animal, which is money you basically do not have. So we're going to make sure that this animal is not able to escape, and just gonna make sure that the animals are not able to escape again from our zoo. Now let's see if we can speed this all up a little bit and see if we can earn a little bit more money. So I just let the game run in full speed mode for around 5 minutes or so. Our money is going up. It's not going super fast yet, but that is also due to the fact that these two do not have any cubs just yet. But hopefully this is going to be a successful mating event. So we hopefully... Are we getting a message? I don't really think so. Are you pregnant? Oh, no. So yeah, okay, this was an unsuccessful breeding event, so we do have to wait a little bit more. They have a 70% chance of getting offspring, but yeah, as soon as these two will get some cubs, then obviously you will attract more guests to your zoo and your money will go up a little bit faster. But as of right now, we do have enough money, in my opinion, to already fill this up with one of the animals that we can find in the training center right over here. And I actually do feel like, and I don't know if they are available, to go for a sun bear, because the sun... Oh wait, maybe we can go for a koala. Let's have a quick look. But koala can only have a number of offspring of 1. So I do like koalas just because there are not too many koalas mostly offered in the training centers. So when I have like a pretty big breeding zoo at one point, I also just pick some animals that I do like and don't really care too much about the time it takes for a baby to become an adult. But in the beginning, it's definitely important to pay some more attention to that. Either to, maybe we can go for a Formosan black bear, either to the fact that they get like a lot of offspring and don't take too long. I find 5 years, in my opinion, too long. I think 4 years is for me the max. I prefer to go for 3 years or less, but yeah, 5 years already turns me off a little bit. And I think the sun bear, if I'm correct, the sun bear only is like 4 years, so I can live with 4 for some reason, but obviously that's just my personal opinion. Let's go and have a look at the platypus real quick. The platypus is only 2 years. Oh, and they have a number of offspring of 1, 2, 3, but they are very difficult to reproduce. So it depends a little bit. We can have up to 1 male and 2 females. You know what? We are going to try and see if the platypus is going to be a perfect animal for a breeding zoo. But right now we can only adopt a female. Hopefully I am able to grab a little male as well, and later on we can have another female. I do feel like these habitats right over here might already be big enough. If we just check the size, 720. I don't really pay too much attention to that. As I said, I'd rather have 2 big of habitats instead of 2 small. So, and I think regarding like money, it doesn't matter too much. We only needed a male, right? So that would be perfect. And let's have a look. 67%. So we're gonna find something that is not 67%, maybe 50% or 33%. Can we compare you with the one? No, we do not have that one yet in our habitat. So let's see, maybe this one. This one is a little bit more expensive, but then we at least have 2. And if we now go to the Zoopedia and just quickly check, like if we have 3 adults in here and say 6 offspring, which would be the max, this habitat would be big enough, really big enough. So let's go and put this one in this habitat and make sure that their habitat is like a 99 to 100% welfare. And there we have it, a 99% welfare. And yeah, it's like the real minimum basics that they have in here. And again, for this animal counts as well that if you do still need the research, just go to your vet research tab. And as you can tell, I still need to do my research. So just put your vet onto doing some research for that animal, which is also gonna give you a breeding bonus at some point. So that is also very useful for your breeding zoo. And as you can tell right over here, like I could not care less about making underwater viewing galleries and stuff for my breeding zoo, as long as my guests are not, well, I actually never really look even at their thoughts. Like it doesn't really matter too much for this breeding zoo. But yeah, as long as you can make sure that you have the basics like education and donation boxes, and clearly they become hungry and thirsty, so soon we're going to add all these buildings as well. But yeah, an underwater viewing gallery for your breeding zoo, if it's only for earning conservation credits or just breeding the perfect animal, then obviously you don't really need to build an underwater viewing gallery. You can just live with this as long as these animals do have the minimum requirements for the deep water and also for the swimming area and of course their land area. So as you can tell, our money went down pretty fast, but we are earning a lot more money already due to this. I don't know if we already have. Yes, okay, we have a bonus right over here. These kind of bonuses always are super useful when starting out your new zoo. So now that we added the second animal, you can tell that this keeper is very busy with a very high workload. So we are going to hire another keeper in here. I am not going to hire any other mechanics or vets. I feel like as soon as we are able to train these employees, we are going to do just fine. And as well as for the caretakers, right now we don't have any shops yet. But as soon as we get some shops, there will be more trash around the zoo. And then we also need to add some bins and stuff. So then we definitely need some more caretakers. But I think as of right now, we are just fine. We need to add this one in the everything work roster. So now we're just going to let the game run a little bit more so we are able to get another animal in our zoo. So we are a few minutes later and I was able to find another female platypus. So I right away just bought that one and put that one also in this habitat, because as soon as they are going to start breeding, then obviously we will get more offspring to later sell on the trading center market or release in the wild for some conservation credits. So the next animal that we add is the sun bear. And as you can tell, I already did a lot of research for these animals. So this animal also has a lot of things already put down. So I right now have a 98% welfare. Like the only thing that I still can do is like upgrade their meal quality. But as of right now, we are not really in the financial position to really do that. We added the educational signs, the donation bins, and we also have some of the benches. Now, the next step that I will be doing, like these guys do not have any offspring just yet, so I still need to wait for that. And the same goes for all the other animals, but we are earning money, so it's not like super big deal. We just have to be a little bit more patient and then the money will flow in. So we're gonna keep the game running for just a little bit more, and then we're going to focus on some food, drink, and gift shops, and we're also going to add some toilet buildings. When you wait for around $20,000 or something, you will be able to put down like an extra staff building, some ATMs, because that's always useful for the guests to make sure that they never run out of money. And then I put down like 2 food shops. So these are the hot dog squads. There is an information stand right over here. We have a Looney Balloons. and 2 drink shops, in this case water shops, but pick whatever you want, of course. And we have a toilet building right over here. And now I am Dutch, so I always like to pay for my toilet visits. So I always put like 15 cents or something like that into the toilet buildings. So this will be up and running. Obviously, do make sure to add your work zone right over here. So I added an extra work zone for the shop specifically with 1 staff room and then the 6 shops buildings. And right over here, I already put down some paths, so we are ready to add some more shops in a later stage to earn some extra money and to obviously fulfill the needs. Like as soon as you have like an extra corner right over here, you will actually just make sure like all the guests will now be heading towards this particular corner. But obviously you want to spread them out a little bit so you can have like a corner right over here. And as soon as you grow bigger, you can have one over here, one over here, one over there, or something like that. Obviously, be creative and do whatever you like to do. This is just an example of how I am creating my own breeding zoo right now. The good news is that we have, I don't know, we actually have cups in here, but I don't know. It's only 1. We have been waiting so long for only 1 cup. Well, it is what it is, but this is the cup that we are actually going to keep most likely. And then we're going to sell these 2 for money in a later stage. So we can actually make sure that all the offspring that they are getting will be a higher appealing animal. And they will also earn us some more conservation credits in a later stage. So we do have a pregnant sun bear right now, so hopefully they will bring in some more cubs so we can attract more guests into our zoo and are able to earn a little bit more money. The platypus is not even pregnant just yet, but they are like pretty difficult to reproduce. So I think it's a good thing to quickly check if we have some vet research here. There we go. So that should already unlock the breeding research bonus of 15%. So hopefully this will now make it a little bit faster. And because they are harder, I will change the food quality for these guys in here. So yeah, it's just a matter of time and we already have some more money now. So I just feel like we are going to add another 4th animal in our breeding zoo to really get this going. Ooh, now the Arctic fox is actually also a really interesting one because they only take around 1 year to become mature. And are they easy to reproduce? Yes, they are. And they have a number of offspring of 3 to 6, which is actually really amazing. So yes, the next animal that we're going to add is the Arctic fox. And if I am correct, so if we check the Arctic fox right over here, they have a pretty decent appeal right over here. I'm quickly going to get, check our money, real quick. They're not even that expensive. So I feel like this is a perfect way. I am adding 2 females. There's an alpha male and alpha female. Yes, okay, I actually bought an extra female, which is not really needed in this franchise zoo. So I'm just going to quick trade that one again to get my money back. And we're going to add these 2 Arctic foxes in. I think this habitat will be big enough for these guys. We can quickly check that right over here. What do we need? We need, it's really super easy. Yes, they really don't need that much space. The only thing that they would need are some coolers because they are obviously not going to be very happy with 38 degrees. So let's quickly build a habitat for these guys. So again, we have a very super simple habitat right over here. We have 2 cute little Arctic foxes in this habitat. The only downside is these, if you compare their mates, they only have a 52% chance of offspring. So for these guys, we also still need to do the research because I did not have the Arctic fox in any of my franchise zoos just yet. But we only have 1 vet and we also really want to get some offspring from the platypus. So I do feel like this is the right time to already try and get another vet in because, well, actually, I am going to hire this one. I'm going to put you in the everything work roster. But I also feel like our money is going up a little bit faster now. So I feel like we can just train our staff right over here. I don't really think that that is a bad decision to make right now. how many staff keepers do we have? We have 3. I think they all have a high workload, and we have 4 different habitats right now. So I feel like this is the right time to also get another keeper, so we can just make sure that they are able to run with all these habitats. Obviously, you can set up a work roster for every of these habitats, but in a breeding zoo, I'm more or less being like, yeah, well, I find one work zone with everything as long as I'm working from this middle center. I find that perfectly fine. But as soon as you're going to expand and have more habitats, maybe even have more bigger staff areas, then you definitely want to look into work rosters specifically for one habitat. As you can tell right over here, it is really busy. So I would already, even though it might be a little bit of an overkill, but I would already wait until I have another 20k thousand, so I can already add another area right over here for some food and drink shops and stuff, because I feel like spreading out the guests more in the end and have less waiting lines is also going to help a little bit more with earning some money. Obviously, at some point you are earning so much money, you really don't care at all about it anymore. But yeah, especially in the beginning stages, like earning fast money is always the easiest and the better for starting a franchise zoo or a breeding zoo, that is. So as of right now, things are going pretty well. I have an extra Arctic fox habitat because I just really do like how fast they mature and their number of offspring. So as soon as the research is done, I think it's going to be a lot easier to get some offspring of these guys. I also did add the binturong right over here, because if you look at their Zoopedia, they become mature at 1.5 years old, which is also super interesting. And they also get an offspring of 1, 2, 3. So they are difficult to reproduce in captivity, but this is a very nice animal, I think, as well, to earn some conservation credits if you're just starting out. So right over here, we have the jaguars, we have the sun bear, and oh yes, the platypus did get some offspring. It's only 1, but hey, this is also going to attract some more guests in our zoo, which are going to bring in some more money. And we're also able to get some conservation credits out of Tarka in this case. Oh my goodness, we already have some offspring in here as well. So that went a lot easier than I thought. Look at these cuties. So this is going to be very nice. I really do like the Arctic fox. I don't really like the sounds they make constantly. You need to get used to that or something like that when you add them in your zoo, because they can make a lot of noise. Where are these two? Oh, there is one right over here, but they are just added, so I'm not expecting them to get some offspring at that fast. We have 2 binturongs in here. Let's quickly check if how their compare their mates is. So how their chances to get some offspring, which is 68%, and we do not have a bonus, which means that we do need to make sure that we have some research going on here as well for these animals. So we have the platypus, we have the Arctic fox. We might want to wait until the platypus is completely done before we put them onto doing some research for the binturong in this case. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to speed up the game again, because, well, breeding zoos is mostly about just speeding up the game and just wait until animals grow up so you are able to sell them or release them into the wild for some conservation credits. So we'll let the game run for around 3 to 4 years or something like that. And I just waited until most of the babies did grow up, so I can show you guys how you can sell these animals for conservation credits or release them into the wild. Like, that really depends per animal. And as you can see, I had 2 Arctic fox habitats and they breed like crazy. But the question will be if they are worth it regarding conservation credits. Now, if you already look right over here, you can see 285 to trade it on the market or 101 to release this one into the wild. But I just want to have a double check, because if we just go right over here to the animal market and search for the Arctic fox and select this on price, And let's make sure, like, as you can tell, you will not be able to sell that Arctic fox for the amount of 285. So yeah, it sounds really good, but in the end, you will probably not be able to sell this animal for this amount of money. You will have to go for 30, 40, 50, but anything more than that is not going to bring you that much luck. So in this case, I would say the Arctic fox, for me as a breeding zoo and I want to earn conservation credits pretty quickly, I will just go for releasing them all into the wild. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to release all these Arctic foxes in the wild, and we're going to do the same check with other animals. So this jaguar says 190 to trade on the market and 240 to release into the wild. So if we now go right over here to the jaguar animal market and select this onto price, you can see like, oh, there's even a black one for only 185, but it's only one. The rest is all above 500. So the jaguar might be more interesting to put up in the training center, for example, for 500 conservation credits, and then hopefully someone will be buying this one. But if you want to have conservation credits more quickly, then obviously release this animal into the wild. Let's do a quick check on the platypus. 525 if we put it up in a training center. So it says release them into the wild is 184. And then you can see right over here that there are no platypus animals on the market for conservation credits. There are only males in here, which also could help you. Like if there are 4 males already for money, this one has no like bronze, silver or golden status, so it's not like a super special platypus. So to be honest, I would probably go for release this animal in the wild as well, because I am sure that I will get 185 conservation credits for it. So now let's check the sun bear. We will get 177 if we release it into the wild. This says 619. And if we check the market, there are no sun bears available for conservation credits. So yeah, it depends a little bit what you want to do. Like this one is a bronze status. So we could maybe say like, oh yeah, for example, for 200, it's really just trying it out. If you have time, just put them up in the training center if it's worth it. And if it's not worth it, just make sure to release them into the wild. And this is pretty much the easiest way of how to get conservation credits. I think as of right now, the Arctic fox is definitely the most worth it regarding time and the amount of offspring that they get. So, but to get in a little bit more variation, it's obviously more fun to have some different animals in your zoo as well. And obviously, the more conservation credits you get, the more interesting animals you are able to get as well. Just make sure to check the appeal and what you think you can earn regarding conservation credits. Like a Western lowland gorilla sounds like a fun idea, but I think out of my head, it takes like 10 years or so before they grow up. So yeah, always keep that in mind. What is the appeal? What do you think you might be getting for conservation credits? You can already see that on the animal market. How long does it take for them to mature, and how much offspring will they get? And I think these are the things that can definitely help you to get this breeding zoo going and to earn some conservation credits. So yeah, excluding these two that are not sold yet, we just earned around 1,250 conservation credits with this breeding zoo. And obviously, this was just an example. Like you can really expand this. Like as you can tell, I already have 200,000 in cash. So you can really go nuts here with different type of habitats. Like if you want to go for only Arctic foxes, just go for that. If you want to go for only big cats, just go for that. In the end, try and make it a little bit fun for yourself. Like what is your goal? If you want to make a pretty breeding zoo with so many different type of animals, or maybe want to go for like these special albinos or animals with leucism, melanism, or piebaldism. Like, you can really go crazy with this. So I will add to this like just a little extra information. Like, if you're going for a breeding zoo for a specific challenge that is going on every other week, and they are asking you to like release silver, bronze, or golden status animals into the wild, then you need to make sure that you will have a good gene potential, and depending on how good genes they have, they will get like this bronze, silver, or golden status. And if they are asking you for a challenge to pay attention to the animal star rating, the animals will get stars over time. So the older they become, the more stars they will get, but you need to make sure that their welfare is good. Only if their welfare is good in the green, they will slowly over time earn these animal stars. So the older these animals become, the longer they are in your zoo, the higher stars they will get. So this one will have 5 stars right before it dies. So also pay attention to that, because sometimes it does happen that they get 5 stars and soon after they will die, unfortunately. And obviously, like, these are the first animals that we got from the market. But if you go and breed with like the babies from these animals, then they will get these 5 stars earlier in the end. So yeah, these are the things to pay attention to when you are going for a breeding zoo for these challenges. So yeah, that breeding zoo is definitely not my most prettiest zoo out there. I at least can show you guys this African mini zoo series that I also made in franchise mode. So it's definitely possible to also make pretty things in franchise mode. You can find this whole series on my channel, obviously. And you can also find a playlist in the description of this video of all my other tutorials. And yeah, of course, do let me know if this breeding zoo tutorial was a little bit helpful. I really hope it did. And if you guys have any other tips or suggestions of how you are running your perfect breeding zoo, then please do let us all know in the comments down below. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!